Well, hello everyone, and welcome to The Legacy, Realm of Terror. The Legacy Realm of Terror is a 1993 adventure role-playing game produced by Magnetic Scrolls and distributed by MicroProse. Now, despite this game's age, I've only just recently come across it. In fact, I became aware of this game while I was trying to figure out how to get Pearls of Radiance working on my PC. And what's going on here? Oh, well, this poor fella just got attacked by the floor. Apparently we're playing Ultima right now. But like I mentioned, this is a role-playing game, and we've played a couple of role-playing games on here, and you'll see that this one is kind of similar to some of the D&D role-playing games that I've played, but it is certainly not the AD&D rules. It's rules that were made up just for this game. So here we have our main screen, and we have the option of creating a character, which starts a new game altogether, continue a current game, we don't have any happening right now, load a save game, and quit back to DOS. But we're not quitting back to DOS. We are going to create a character and start our game. Alright, we start with this kind of newspaper heading here, but what's important is this one. The Winthrop house heir is located. And these are our 8 different characters, and each character has a brief description of them that will give you an idea into their personality, that will more so give you an idea of what kind of stats they have. I'll give you an overview of their stats in a moment. But let's read this. It was announced last night that the search for the Winthrop heir is at an end. Brad Norris, a sophomore at New York University, is apparently the last surviving member of a family related by marriage to the Winthrops, whose unexplained disappearance is still baffling local police. Captain of the NYU ski team and a prominent member of the debate society, Mr. Norris is planning a Mondo party and looking forward to meeting his new neighbors. Now if we hit next here, we'll take a look at our next character. Lawyers administering the Winthrop estate announced last night that the estate has passed to Miss Charlotte Kane. Current CEO of Golgotha Holdings, Miss Kane became a respected figure in New York's business community with a series of takeovers and leveraged buyouts in the late 80s. Her lawyers have declined to comment on rumors that Miss Kane plans to turn the historic Winthrop house into a luxury hotel and conference center. And our next character, it was announced yesterday that an heir to the Winthrop estate has been found. Mr. Charles Weiss of Bangor, Maine, who makes his living as a stage magician, describes himself as an astrologer and student of the occult. Family lawyers have declined to comment on speculation that this is the same Charles Weiss who was implicated in the Arlington sacrifice scandal 3 years ago. However, his arrival will no doubt upset his new neighbors. It was announced last night that the search for the Winthrop heir is at an end. Lucy Weston, a sophomore at the University of California, Los Angeles, is an active member of the Sigma Epsilon Chi Society sorority. Miss Weston has represented UCLA in tennis and volleyball. An orphan who has worked her way through school, Miss Weston described her good fortune as, "Wow, totally rad, like a whole mansion to myself. It's so cool, almost tubular." Yeah, the game is showing its age a little bit with that kind of lingo. After a prolonged search, the heir to the Winthrop estate has been found. Professor Henry Jones of Penn State University. Professor Jones has written a number of papers in the early history of the Massachusetts colony, and is regarded as an authority on the Salem witch trials of 1692. As head of the Department of American History at PSU, Professor Jones should find much to interest him in the ancient Winthrop estate. The missing Winthrop heir has been found after a long search. Family lawyers revealed yesterday. Jane Olsen is a journalist with the New York Daily Post. She is well known for investigative journalism. Some locals feel that she will find plenty of material in her new home, which has long been the center of rumors and legend. Perhaps she could shed some light on the disappearance of the Winthrop family, which continues to baffle police. Lawyers searching for an heir to the Winthrop estate announced last night that they have found the only living relative of the late owners. Major Robert Boomer Kowalski, USMC, retired, is expected to arrive in town soon to take possession of the estate. A holder of the Purple Heart and the Navy Cross, Major Kowalski served with distinction in Grenada, Panama, and the Gulf, as well as many other actions throughout the world. And our final contestant. Winthrop lawyers issued a statement today revealing that ownership of the entire estate has passed to Miss Isabel Godley? I'm not sure. Miss Golty? A widow is a distant relative of the Winthrop family, whose mysterious disappearance is still baffling local police. Family lawyers are resident over details, but local records show a Goldie family resident in the area in colonial times, moving to Massachusetts in the last years of the 17th century. So those are all our characters, and as you read through each one of them, maybe you get an idea of what their stats might be. But I'm going to show you the stats right now. Let's take a look at Brad's. Alright, now, over here on the left we have Brad's portrait and his 5 attributes: strength, knowledge, dexterity, stamina, and willpower. These 5 attributes affect these 4 skills each, as well as health and magic. Yes, this game is full of magic and mysticism and horrible creatures from beyond the stars. In fact, if we hit next, we can look at different characters who have different layout of stats. In fact, in Miss Kane's case, she actually knows a spell. Now, I've played through this a few times, and I've really gotten enthralled in it. I really enjoyed it, and I thought I'd show it off a little bit. And I've had the most success with magic-focused characters. So we'll probably pick Mr. Weiss here. Now, for whatever reason, say you don't like his layout of stats, we can hit redesign up here and get the chance to change them. Now we're going to keep the name as it is, but his attribute points and his skill and spell points have been reset. Now I want to get his willpower up, because willpower governs how much magic he has to cast spells, as well as how likely he is to cast them successfully. We also want to get him some stamina, so he'll have more health. That will govern how well he resists harm and how much abuse he can take before he dies. Now these 3 attributes, strength, knowledge, and dexterity, well, we're going to go more towards the knowledge end. Maybe I'll take another one away from stamina. I'll put a little on dex and strength. There we go. Now, strength, as you can imagine, refers to raw might, and it governs brawling, the use of clubs, his ability to force things and lift things. Now, brawling in this game is fighting unarmed, and clubs is fighting with weapons that count as clubs. Knowledge, I think, is going to be one of our more important ones. That governs special trained knowledge, special trained skills. As you can take a look, electronics, first aid, meditation, and mechanics. While dexterity governs coordination, motor skills, and reaction. And in this game's case, it's how well you fight with bladed weapons, how well you can dodge incoming projectiles, as well as avoid enemies. Firearms, which are all the different guns we're going to find over the course of the game, and there are a few of them. And throwing, which is just hucking things at enemies. Now I want to put most of our points into meditation and first aid, because that is going to be mostly how we recover both our health and our magic over the course of the game. We're also going to put a few points in the clubbing, because most of the weapons we're going to come across, especially our early weapons, count as clubs. Then after that I want to put points into blades and firearms. There are a few blades in the game, and arguably the best weapon is a blade, so we want to hang on to that. I'm not going to put much points into anything else. We're not going to be fighting unarmed very often. And force we can use to force open doors. I'll explain that more later. We won't use that often either. I don't think I've ever come across a case where I had to lift anything. Not even once. Electronics and mechanics will become important when we have to repair either electronic devices or mechanical devices. And dodging isn't that bad. Dodging will help us avoid being shot at, whether it's mundane weaponry or magical attacks. Also will let us avoid enemies. And throwing is how well we throw objects. We're not going to do too much of that. Now, Mr. Weiss over here has two spells. He has the Crimson Mist of Miyamoto. The power of the Crimson Mist serves to protect its caster. While the mist swirls and fluctuates, physical harm is reduced. Which means if we have that spell activated, we will take less damage from physical harm. While the Sight of the Dark Walker is bestowed upon all mortals who call upon his name, empower imperfect beings may see through the light of the shadows. That lets us see in the dark. Now, I don't really want to spend any points on any of that, so I'm going to put another point in clubs, and I think we'll put a point into dodging. You know what, let's hang on to the rest of our skill points. We don't have to spend them all right now. We're going to hit accept character, and that's going to start the game. Alright, now this is the loading screen. We're not going to see it very often during the course of the game, so enjoy it now while you can. Alright, well now we're in the game. And the game is broken down into several different windows. Right here is our main screen. This is where we want to do most of the interacting with the world. But right now we're getting prompt for password protection. In this case, we have to look in the game's manual. We have to go to page 8, line 1, word 5. Well, let me take a look in our manual and see what is on page 8, line 1. Well, in this case, it's not a word, it's an acronym, and it's RMB for right mouse button. Now that we put the password in, we won't have to worry about it again until I restart the game. That is, exit out of it altogether and restart it. So here's our main window. We're going to interact with the world mostly through here. This window here to the left is our character screen. And there is us, Mr. Weiss, and our inventory as well. We double click on it. We have 4 pocket slots to put items, and we can carry 2 items in our hands. These buttons here, hit and aim, let us strike enemies with whatever we have in that hand. Like in right now we have our spell book, which we can click on to drag around. In fact, we're going to put that in one of our pockets. Or we can aim to more precisely attack things. Down here, this kind of papyrus kind of scroll of paper here is our map. As we walk around, it will fill out. We walk around by pressing these buttons. If we can walk in a direction, or turn in a direction, it'll be red. If we cannot, it'll be grayed out. And now we tried to go through the front door, so we're getting laughed at. Down here is our dialogue window. Whenever we check something out or we get any bits of information, it will appear here for us to read. Like if we try to examine the door by right-clicking on it, then letting go on examine. You sense that the door is firmly sealed by magical energy. It offers no escape from this house of evil. Now you may have noticed that when we have the book in our hand, these two buttons come up. These are our spells. We can only cast our spells when we're holding our book. If we right-click on them, we can look up more information about them. That's the name of the spell. We can cast it. We can view it, where we read about what it does. Or we can prepare it. Preparing it lets you sort of cast it ahead of time, so that you can cast it again a little later. I usually do that to power up a spell, so that it'll be more powerful when I do use it. These red arrows here will let us look through our spell book. But this black arrow down here will let us close it. Now if we click this arrow again, we look at our stats. And since we have a little bit of experience, we could level some of this stuff up. But we're going to hang on to it for the time being. We're going to get more experience over the course of the game as we battle enemies, solve puzzles, collect items, and so forth. So, first thing I noticed is this little bit of paper here. We could pick up and carry around all the paper that we like, but there's no real need for it. There's only one piece of paper that we're ever going to need. So we're just going to read them as we see them. A handwritten note. I, Marcus Roberts of Boston, write this in the event of my untimely death, to serve as a warning and aid to any unfortunate who follows me into this house of evil. For years I have been aware of the history and rumors surrounding the Winthrop house. I have studied the accounts that recount the vile depravities of its owners and have discerned a disturbing pattern to them. Every 50 years, strange lights have been reported in the skies over the house. Police records for the years of 1843, 1893, and 1943 show a series of disappearances in the nearby town of Longport that occurred at the same time as the lights. Parish records recount similar tales from the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. These events coincide almost to the day. The next date falls soon in 1993. When the house became empty following the disappearance of the Pirtis family, I took the opportunity to enter it. What I found has confirmed my suspicions that the house is possessed by an infernal entity that is preparing to break through into our world. God willing, I may be able to prevent this. If I fail, the fate of the world will be in the hands of whoever follows me. Marcus Roberts. So yeah, something bad is going on. Let's look around a little bit. In fact, we're going to go into this room first and foremost. Most doors, if we just click on them, they will open. That's assuming they can be opened. Now down here we have an attaché case. If we grab it, we can carry it in our hand. And it gives us several more inventory slots with which to carry items. And here we have a first aid kit, which went immediately into one of our pockets. We're going to leave it down here in the attaché case, but we're going to put our book in one of our pockets. Now, while we're carrying the attaché case, that hand is in use, so we can't use it for anything else, although we can beat enemies with the briefcase as we like. Let's read this piece of paper. A handwritten note. Trapped. There is no escape from the house. Mocking laughter taunts me whenever I try the front door. Worse still, I have unleashed hordes of zombies from the mausoleum to the east. The zombies now prowl this floor of the house. Only quick thinking and nimble feet have allowed me to survive this long. I discovered gates to planes of darkness from which demons and other monstrous beings enter the house. They lurk on the floor above this and increase daily. I found no way of closing the damnable portals. My spells have proved effective at protecting me so far, but I fear that my time is running out. Marcus Roberts. This Marks guy did not have fun here. Alright, well, what do you say we take a look at this painting? The painting dates 1662 and depicts the burning of a warlock at the stake. You know, this warlock, he seems okay with this, all things considered. Now, what about that pendant? This hollow depression has fragments of green glass embedded around its edge. So that depression looks like it had something in there at some point. Dear Mr. Charles Weiss, welcome to the Winthrop house. In accordance with your instructions, I have arranged an auction of some of the furnishings. The proceeds should cover the estate's outstanding debts. The removal should have been completed prior to your arrival. I will contact you with news of the auction. Yours sincerely, E. Croxley Co. Realtors. And what we got here? We have a metal vase, a heavy metal vase. That heavy metal vase is actually our first weapon. We can use this to go around braining enemies. Now you may remember we went up these stairs in the opening cinematic. But this door is nailed shut and cannot be opened. The same is true of this door and this door. So we're going to have to find other ways upstairs. And what do we have here? A glass case. A statue of demonic creature lies protected behind this glass display case. Well, it's only glass, so what do you say we smash it open? Now we're going to click on that statue, and it falls to the ground. And is a Carthag figurine. This revolting statuette of a demon has the word Carthag inscribed upon it. Now we're going to grab it, and it's going to immediately go to our hand. I guess we could probably use it to beat enemies about, but we're going to leave it in our briefcase. And this takes up 2 inventory slots. We're going to come across a number of items that can take up more than 1 inventory slot, and they may take up 2 adjacent, the ones above and below. They may even be 3 long or 4 long. I was hoping we'd get to see our first enemy. There we go. Now that's a zombie. We could sit here and try to fight it. We have something better we can do. And we're going to pick up now one of the most important items in the game. The key ring. This handy steel ring holds a selection of keys. We're going to find several keys over the course of the game, and we can just slide them right onto that key ring. Now, when I first played this game, I played it like a traditional RPG, and ended up getting my lunch handed to me. So I started to play it more like a survival horror game. Uh-oh. Now, you may see that Mr. Weiss is freaking out right now. And that's because that creature he just saw terrified him. Zombie's pretty bad, too. Yeah, there we go. Now, I wanted to rush here and get this item. It's the Juju Fetish. This repulsive object consists of a skeletal hand and arm held together by twine. Created by a voodoo priest, it is used to protect the user from the walking dead. That's what these things are. These are zombies. As long as we are carrying that item in our hand, zombies will not attack us. They will, on the other hand, though, follow us around and get in our way. Now that green slime ball tentacle monster, well, it looks terrifying, but it's actually harmless. So as long as we leave it alone, it will leave us alone. But it is scary to behold. So when we see it, we freak out a little bit. And we can even stop moving as a result. And here we have a bottle. Once full of fine vintage wine, this bottle is now empty. This is another potential weapon we can use. But we're not going to. What we are going to do is try to get this zombie away. So we can grab those items. There we go. Now we have 2 first aid kits, and we have some revolver speed load ammunition. A speed load containing 6 small caliber revolver bullets. So that's our first bit of ammunition. Yeah, I know, you're scared. This rune is filled with magical energy. Now we're going to come across a number of runes like this over the course of the game. Their importance will become apparent a little later. Alright, time to point something out to you. If you look down here on our map, it says there's a little alcove over here. But there's this wall here clearly in front of us. But if you look at our direction keys, it says we can go forward. So when we go forward, we end up in a secret passage. And there's a book, The Iron Fist of Agata. And these are spell books. We read from these spell books to learn more spells to add to our spell list. Oh yeah, you're a big item, you gotta go in there. So now we have an additional spell we can cast. There'll be several times during the course of the game where things like this will happen, where we can move in and out of the walls or into special passages. More revolver ammunition. Nothing special over there. But here we have the poker. This fine brass, with its fine brass handle and sturdy wrought iron shaft, this poker makes a handy weapon. Yeah, that's one of our first real good weapons that we're going to come across. Now, supposedly weapons can break. I've never had a weapon break on me, but I've had a gun jam on me. And there's our first key, the worn key. The teeth of this key are worn from frequent use. And we can take this key, we can try to take this key, and put it on the key ring. So now anytime we find a locked door, we can just drag the key ring to the door and see if one of the keys on the key ring will open it. Now this wood panel door is locked. Now locked doors we have to try to open with keys. Well, what do you know? Our key was on there. Let's open it up, and there's a zombie. There's another zombie. But here's a note. And this is probably the only note in the game that you need to get your hands on. And it's piano sheet music. So with the juju fetish, these zombies are no threat to us. Except maybe for the threat of getting away. Despite your best effort, the safe does not open. Well, let's see if our key can change that. Nope. We need to keep exploring. There's another note. A history of Winthrop House. Winthrop House was built near Longport in 1639 by Governor Elias Winthrop. Though he presided over many witch trials, Elias Winthrop was burnt as a warlock in 1662. At his trial, local villagers claimed that Winthrop House was haunted and that Elias had enthralled diverse devils and demons. Elias's son, Hildebrand, used the house for debauched revelries until 1699, when he died in a fire. The fire also destroyed some of the house and was claimed to have been caused by an oil lantern thrown through a window. Hildebrand Winthrop was the last Winthrop to live in Longport, but the house's sinister reputation has continued to this day. Zombies. Always in the way. Now, we got a pretty good collection of ammunition right now. We have not found a gun yet. Now, here you notice we have two trap doors on the floor. If we tried to walk across them, we just fall through them and end up on the basement level, which could potentially be a very bad thing, because the enemies down there are stronger than the enemies up here. So, instead, we're going to click these two buttons by the door, and that closes the trapdoors. So we can now grab this key. And this is the chipped key. The teeth of this key are chipped and worn. Alright, now it's on the key ring. Wow, the zombies are starting to pile up in numbers. Although we can actually use this to our advantage and sort of herd the zombies around a little bit and get them into places out of our way. And there we go. There's our first firearm. We have the Smith & Wesson Model 10 small caliber revolver containing 6 bullets. And we'll put that gun to good use pretty soon. Go away, zombie. Getting in our way. There's another one. Here's another example. Again, our map says there's something in front of us. And our direction keys say we can go forward. And we find the security key. So let's grab it. Examine it. A heavy key for a wall safe. Well, we did see a wall safe earlier. Now here we go. This is the holy water. Contained within this glass vial is pure spring water blessed by a minister of the church. Now, we can use this item to heal us. It will restore some of our health and some of our magic. It will also cure us of poison. Poison will be a problem later. But the real value of holy water is as a weapon. There are enemies later that we're going to face that can be destroyed instantly with some holy water, and that's what we're going to use it on. Now here's another important item. The magic crystal. A glowing crystal containing magical energy. If we pick the meditate option here, we'll draw some of the magical energy out of the crystal and into us, restoring some of our magical energy. Now somebody's laughing at us again. A torn piece of notepaper. A lot of strange things have happened to me since that weird guy hired me to investigate this crazy joint. One thing's for sure. Nothing or nowhere is safe unless it's marked with a strange triangle symbol. As for the rest, I just can't figure it out. So yeah, they're mentioning some triangle symbols. Well, we'll see those a little later. We have not come across the triangle symbols yet. The other symbols we've seen on the wall are something different. And there's another book. And this is Shroud of the Dark Walker. Now we already know Shroud of the Dark Walker. Now I've always been of the belief that this just makes your spells slightly stronger. No, we don't know Shroud of the Dark Walker. What's wrong with me? We know Sight of the Dark Walker. Shroud of the Dark Walker is a different spell, and it's actually one of the ones I use most when I'm playing. That makes it harder for enemies to hit us. Now over here we have a flashlight, but we're going to leave that there, because we don't actually have space for it in our inventory. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start heading back towards the main entrance. Yeah, right now the power is out. So now it's all dark in here. Although it's not dark enough for me that I can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to use this area to keep some of our items. Alright, well, before we call it an episode, let's check out a few more things. Let's see if we can unlock this door. Yep. And this door leads us down to another basement. I'm not going down there yet. And we remember this wall safe. We now have a key. We unlock the safe, and a video cassette falls from the safe. The words "My brother and I" are written upon this battered VHS cassette. So let's grab that. Let's leave that over here as well. And you know what we're going to try? We're going to try casting our first spell before we call this a video. Now, there's always a chance that you could fail whenever you cast a spell. So what I usually like to do is save before casting spells. And since we haven't saved the game yet, let's do it now. We right-click on this blue area, and we get a number of different options. We're going to go over here to Save Game. And we can save our game as whatever we like. I've been using Legacy Save, so that's what we're going to use right now too. And after we save the game, the screens refresh. So we are going to try to cast Sight of the Dark Walker. Nope. There we go. Now we can see in the dark. Now, it doesn't look like it's made much of a difference. That's because, for me, it really doesn't. But maybe for those of you watching at home, you'll be able to see better now. But I think we're going to call it an episode here. And when we get together next time, I'll show you more of the first floor, and maybe we'll do some combat with some of these zombies. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you then.